see, we've got a very full agenda, very exciting, very interesting, but I welcome you all to spring.
Yeah.
Not quite, huh? Okay, all right. Well, almost spring. You know, they say it's the third winter and the second spring, and then the almost spring and the fall spring. Well, we're you know, we're on our way. But you can plant some seeds now, so I call that spring. So that's where we are, right?
Good point. Good point.
Yeah, right. Okay. So as I said, this is a very full agenda this evening, but I do welcome you all as well as our guests, and we'll go straight to Brian and the minutes. Brian?
There's only one of me now. So,
yes.
So the minutes were posted the week after the last meeting on the 28th. And so did anyone get a chance to look at them? Are there any questions, any complaints, any grievances? And then the minutes for this meeting will probably be done as soon as possible, if not by the end of this week, then early next week.
All right, any comments, questions, criticisms on the meetings from last month? May I have a motion? May I have a motion?
I move to accept the minutes.
Second?
Second.
Aye. Second.
Okay, any discussion? Are those in favor?
Aye. Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? All right, thank you. Motion carries. We'll move then to our first speaker, who is Lisa Cini. And I'm going to turn my head briefly to read this from the other computer, but you know, you all know how this is working right now, so work with me. She's the founder of Mosaic Design Studios, and their theme is the best living, tech, and infinite living collaboration, which I think we're going to hear a lot about this evening. She is a foremost authority on the design of senior living environments. She is an award-winning, internationally recognized designer with more than 25 years experience developing interiors that improve quality of life. She's an accomplished author of several books, and her company, Mosaic Design Studio, is a leading provider of design services for senior living, long-term care, hospitality, and healthcare institutions. She's also founder of a design store, and we'll put the link in the chat. And most notable of all, she's the newest member. She and her family are the newest members of the Franklin Park Civic Association.
Yay.
So over to you, Lisa, and welcome to you and your family.
Thank you so much. And I'd like to say hi to have Adelina is on with me, and we're partners in this whole thing. She is my daughter and has been in Rome for 4 years, becoming an archaeologist, and has been in Israel for 2, studying marine geosciences, which I'm sure I said that wrong. But now she is helping me move things forward with seniors and helping educate. So we're very, very blessed to be here. Thank you. So I'm going to share a screen, and I'm going to go through this. My understanding is I have about 20 minutes. So I'm going to go through this pretty fast, and then I'm going to have 10 minutes to answer questions. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, terrific. So we're going to share the screen. Okay. I don't know, are you able to see the faces still on here or not? Because if so, I'll move those off the way. Yes, or?
We see your slides.
Oh, just the slides, but not the faces. Okay, terrific.
Depending on your device.
Okay.
I see a dog.
You do see a dog. Okay, fantastic, fantastic. So we're going to start here. I got to move this. We're going to do a little bit of housekeeping just to make sure we can get in properly. And I'm out of Colorado right now. So hello to everyone in the warm weather. So infinite living and how you can move from fear to freedom. So as they mentioned, I am the founder of Mosaic Design Studio. I've got 2 best-selling books and the creator of Best Living Tech and now Infinite Living. Why is this important? It's important is because I think in my foundation, I'm just an educator and I want to help people. So the first book was pretty much about the future is here, about how senior living really was making some mistakes in not integrating technology for seniors. The second book, Hive, you may or may not know, but our family lived in Bexley. I was raised in Canton, Ohio, but we decided to raise our kids in Bexley. And when my children were in high school, my husband and I, my 2 kids, my parents were in their late 70s, and my grandmother, who was 92 with Alzheimer's, we realized that she was not going to be able to be managed by herself. She was living with my mom and dad, and we all moved in together. So we sold our house in Bexley, we bought a different house, and moved my grandmother in with us. So my kids grew up with 4 generations in one home.
Wow.
And that might not sound odd to some people, but now it is a little bit. But it was kind of how my family grew up. And in doing that, my parents in their late 70s, my teenage kids, and my husband, you know, we found out that we were a lot like a beehive, and the queen bee was obviously my grandmother. And, you know, then there were worker bees, that was me, and jobs to protect. And Adelina and my son didn't really do much but look pretty to my grandma, but my daughter really helped out. But there were all these kinds of things that we did, little tips and tricks and design things that helped our world work better. So if anyone has anyone that they're dealing with that's aging, this book kind of shows what you can do to make the environment better from an interior design standpoint. What kind of failed? We tried a bunch of things that failed. And then what the social issues are, because having 4 women in one house is not the easiest thing in the world. And then when my grandmother died, we decided to transition. My mom was actually depressed about it, and that was her best friend. And my husband decided to start his own memory care, which he created in Worthington out of this. He just fell in love with taking care of somebody with Alzheimer's and dementia. And I found that a lot of people that were calling me, my friends, and that were baby boomers. And so I decided to merge the 2 books together and kind of update them and write a little bit more, and that's how Boom came about. So this is my why. This was our 4-generational household. And I always get emotional about this part, and it's been her birthday, or the anniversary of her death comes up this Saturday. You know, my grandmother was a lady. She never cussed. She always had her makeup on. She always, you know, dressed to the nines. And when she had memory loss, she wasn't the same person. And we loved her dearly, but we didn't always like her. She became more difficult. And anyone dealing with someone with memory loss, I think kind of understands that. And you just do the best that you can, and you laugh and you live through it. But you also got to talk about it. You got to help people. And as a designer, I got to experiment on them with all the things that I wanted to do, not in a bad way. They knew what I was doing. But in some of the experiments absolutely failed, and some worked brilliantly. But a real mission came out of this. My company, Mosaic Design Studio, primarily designs for private pay senior living, which is the 1% of the 1%. You know, 90% of people don't want to go into senior living. And then of those 10%, probably only 1% can afford it. My family, we certainly couldn't afford private pay senior living. So my grandmother, there was no way that I could put my grandmother, whether I wanted to or not, in a home that I could afford, nor my parents, or take care of my kids in college. So that's how my whole life mission has come about. I've been surrounded by wonderful old people that have mentored me and loved me. And as an interior designer, I've always tried to do the best job possible to merge what I know in design with the environment to be supportive for people as they age. What we're trying to do is take all the information that's out there and connect the dots for people so they have knowledge and wisdom. Then anybody can make the choices that they want to make. you know, wherever they want to make them. But I did realize that I was only serving the 99%, or the 1%, sorry. I wasn't serving the 99%. So I had, we sold our house, and this might sound kooky to some people, but I really felt God spoke to me. And he said, you're supposed to show what you did in your house in Bexley to everybody. And you're supposed to share this with the world. And we couldn't. We literally couldn't. When you have somebody with a cognitive issue, when you bring people in and want to tour them, it's upsetting to them. It's really, really important to have structure and routine. And so I could never do that when my grandma was home. All kinds of people wanted to come in and see what we were doing, and I couldn't show it. So part of it was writing the book. That was to help people. But the other part was buying a house where I felt like I could show what can really be done to help people move from fear to freedom as they age. And so, again, this is kind of kooky, but a guy that I pray with said, hey, you're going to have to make a big purchase. And driving home from work downtown one day, I saw the sign in the yard and I just knew I had to buy it. And it was a lovely, lovely, historic, gorgeous home that had just been kind of, you know, great bones, but had been left to disrepair. So many of you might have seen it. There were some great families that lived in it. And this is the after photo. A little bit of history, which Adelina did quite a bit of digging on it, but it was technically the building plans were started in 1907. It was completed in 1914. It was designed by a very high-end architecture firm, Howard and Nesho and Merriam Architects, in a French chateau operatic style, which I've never heard of before, and I'm a designer. The only thing I can figure is that it's kind of got a mansard roof, and then the actual awning was kind of like the opera house. Those are the things that I could tie together on that. It is a 3-story mansion, contains 10 unique fireplaces, decorative ceilings, a French staircase. And the home was commissioned by Henry Werner. He was president of Henry C. Werner Wholesale Shoes, and his wife, Adelie, and their children, which one was named Adelaide, which my daughter is Adelina. They were originally out of Zanesville, Ohio, and then moved to Columbus, and he was also a vice president of a bank. Little side note, interesting history, I've had a lot of, you know, kind of Bexley, these kind of area houses, and they almost always have a vault. This house does not have a vault. Of course, you know a little bit about the neighborhood. In a lot of my research, I found that it was kind of a tech neighborhood. It was advertised as having all the latest tech in the entire world, that you had the trolley cars, you had electric, you had toilets. So this would have been the Silicon Valley, really, of neighborhoods. Not only did you have East High School that started the NFL, but this was the Silicon Valley of people that were into proactive technology and how they could live better. I think we often forget about that. We think that, you know, electricity's been around so long and all that kind of stuff, but in reality, it hasn't. These are some of the photos from the house, the original blueprints. We have probably over 500 photos from the history of the house that we're categorizing and have put up on the website. A lot of them we don't know. We also have letters, who they are, what they are, but it's very interesting. Now, in doing this, I knew, because I was running a design firm and doing writing and speaking and that kind of stuff, that I couldn't do it a lot or alone. So the best way to do something is to be in collaboration with other people, and the boat goes faster with more people rowing. So I asked, which is a little bit odd, I asked my competition to come in and help me with this. So kind of like a decorator show house. So I said, you know what, this is a really big project. I want this to be able to be told and talked about to everyone all over. And I have a very small tribe, but you have a tribe, and you have a tribe, and you have a tribe. So not only did I get vendor partners to help out, and I invested a large amount of my, well, all of my savings, but I got these folks, and they got on the crazy train with me and helped out, and now are talking to other people about it, which is lovely. And I see there's a minute. The next thing is, and this was pre-COVID, I thought, not everybody's going to be able to go to the house. It's in Columbus, Ohio. We can't have people just randomly going through and all that kind of stuff as well, because we live there. So how do I show people without being horribly disruptive? And I asked my buddy, who's a 22-time Emmy Award-winning director, to help me. And gosh knows he shouldn't, I can't afford what he normally does, but he gave me the bargain basement discount deal. And he has showed up and believed in the cause. And now we're documenting over 6 kind of mini documentaries, 20 minutes long, what we're doing and how we're doing it and the struggles that we've had and what we've learned. So this will be able to help a lot more people. Some of the unique features are that we have height adjustable kitchen countertops, sinks, toilets to allow anyone of any size or ability to be able to maintain their independence and freedom. Smart flooring. So what you see here is them laying kind of carpet down over top of an electronic flooring. And that data mines where somebody walks and can call 911 if somebody would fall. It can also tell me if I have a leak. It could turn on the lights in the bathroom. If I say when I get out of bed and my feet hit the floor, I want the lights to turn on. So it's really kind of unique. It's the first installation in the world in a residential environment. And we've done it in 5 of the rooms. I consult with Shaw Flooring quite a bit, and they've been just very, very gracious in helping me to kind of showcase that you can do things to keep you safe and stay at home. We've also integrated some NASA technology in the spa. And then there's a ballroom that came as part of the house, which isn't bad. So I love goal setting, and my sister does yoga and all kinds of things. So we've had some different things going on up there. There's over 50 vendor collaborators that believed in this vision and helped us out. And I only had one during COVID. I thought everybody was going to kind of jump off the ship during COVID and use it as an excuse, which rightly so, they could have. And only one said, no, we're not going to do this, which was pretty powerful. Even Williams-Sonoma, West Elm, and Pottery Barn stepped in because they said, you know what, nobody in the retail environment even knows how to design furniture for seniors, and we want to be the first. So that's pretty awesome. And some of these companies are international. I've just been blown away by the grace, and I have so much gratitude for everyone that's part of this. Why are we doing this? Well, everybody's getting old. I'm getting old. Everybody's getting old. And what I know from my research is that boomers and myself, which I'm a Gen Xer, we don't feel old. We might look old in the mirror, but we're not. I always say I'm not the same 50 that my mom was when she was 50. I'm a different 50. And truth be told, that's very, very true. Between, I think, the ages of 45 and 70, about a third of people die. And so if you can make it past that point, you will age, but you don't really age in look in that. So a lot of it's a mindset. So how do we have environments that really help boomers and World War II as well, but mostly boomers and down, because that's, who's not in senior living right now. So there's 6.69 million boomers. A third of them are single, which is huge. This is very different than the other generations. So they're aging solo. Over 34% of the population is over 50. That's just crazy. And 59% of baby boomers support their adult children, which is incredibly different from World War I or World War II generation, the silent generations. And then 65% of baby boomers plan to work past 65. Boomers are twice as likely as millennials to start a new business. And 45% of them consider themselves entrepreneurs. So this is a very different active group as we age. Now the sad thing is, but it's true, boomers are more, that were surveyed, are more scared of not being able to take care of themselves than they are of dying. So it's really about independence and freedom versus death. And I love this. I will not let age change me. I will challenge the way I age or change the way I age. When I met Alice Cooper, which, he was 73 years old. He was doing 140 shows a year Plus, on top of that, 40 vampire shows with Johnny Depp. That's 180 shows a year at 73. I don't know very many people that do that, but what it says is people are changing. You know, we saw that with Betty White just recently. I mean, she worked up to the day she was done. Andrew Weil talks a lot about how we can live better longer. So the key is to offer solutions to age in place. And my biggest mentor says, small hinges swing big doors. So everything we're trying to do are just small hinges that swing big doors. So this shows you a little bit of what we did on the, my left at least, my left-hand side with the purple was an enclosed porch on the front of the house, had a low ceiling, moldy carpet. It was pretty yucky. And on the right, you can see what we turned this into. That has a smart flooring. It's pretty phenomenal. We raised the ceiling, put some decorative treatments in, and really tried to honor the house. Just because something's old doesn't mean it's not useful. That was a rendering. This is an actual photo. I will say this is the first black interior I've ever done. As a designer, it was kind of hard for me because I'm always like conscious of how dark things get and we want to make things light and bright, but it's at my absolute favorite room. Another angle. This is one of the rooms on the 3rd floor, which my daughter Adelina, which is helping me, she's the director of Infinite Living, did the artwork on the side, and we want to honor all generations. So before she came home from Israel, I had it blown up and turned into a mural and put into the bedroom. And that actually became the inspiration to name all the bedrooms by flowers. This is one of the bedrooms on the 2nd floor. The fireplace was completely closed in. Glass shelves were put over top of it. The wood floor was trashed, and we started doing some demo work and found this gorgeous, gorgeous fireplace. And that's a rendering, and this is the real thing. This is Williams-Sonoma, West Elm, and Pottery Barn. All these are seat appropriate heights. This little coffee table, the tray comes up to get you. There's outlets that are high on the back of this little end table, so it's easy to plug in your laptop. You don't have to bend over too far. Another angle. Some more angles. This is the living room, which I like to call the library, but on the original plans, I didn't actually call it the library. Some unique things about this. This is senior living furniture. So what I wanted to show was like, you can have a really nice house and have things be supportive and not think it's supportive. So all these are the right firmness and correctness of seats, the right seat height. And then this is a patented bracket on the back of this chair that holds a walker. So you can have dignity. I don't know if you've ever been around people with walkers or not, but they fall off the chair. It always causes an issue. So this is one of the things that one of the vendors that we worked with worked really hard to do. And I said, it also works great for a purse, great for a suit jacket. Because you know what? Good design is good for everybody. On the staircase, we completely recovered the staircase, meaning we took it apart and then rebuilt it back together. It had only one stringer in the center going up. And it really needed more because when the house was originally built, there was a toilet and a phone booth underneath there and no stairs. And then in the 40s, when it was turned into a rooming house, they took that out and put a staircase underneath and it lost its structure. So we had to go back in and put the structure back in. And then custom designed the carpet and a stained glass pattern to match the original stained glass, and the custom designed the wall covering to also honor it and mimic that. This is Dale Miller. The living room was Harkin Design out of Chicago. Sorry, I just want to make sure you knew that that wasn't me. This is the living room with Boca Raton designer Dale Miller. We have a Yamaha piano that plays itself and will also play concerts. We have bows in here. And then these rugs have a special grade to them, so they're not a trip hazard. Again, all seat appropriate height. This is actually furniture I put in senior living. And the bottoms of these are actually plastic and they can be washed with Clorox, even though they look like wood. The kitchen, we wanted to bring back the old. I ripped out the ceiling. I did some chalkboard paint up above. The unique thing about here is this countertop back here is height adjustable. So when I'm cutting, I'm 4'11", I can really put it down to where I need to be. The stove is a Samsung Smart Oven stove, so you can turn it off with your phone. If you get to the store and forgot that you turned it off, you can turn it off. We have a pot filler up above. And then these cabinets are height adjustable. They actually come all the way down so that you don't have to get on a ladder to get into things and get your canned goods out. The dining room, there wasn't much we had to do to it, but just clean it up a little bit. Absolutely gorgeous. The one thing that we did was we put a carpet in there that has 1 million fibers per square inch that's called flocked carpet. And what it does is helps to deaden the noise. Because I don't know about you, but I can't hear in a restaurant situation, or if it's a large dining room with all the clanking and everything. So this really helps reduce the noise and helps each other enjoy the whole moment. This is one of the bedrooms upstairs done by Harkin Interiors. This has a smart flooring underneath it. Some little things that are a big deal about this is room darkening blinds. You know, if we don't get good sleep, we're not going to heal, and it's especially important for Alzheimer's and dementia. They say that the plaques get removed off your brain when you sleep. And if you don't have good sleep, that's horrible for your memory and your brain. This bathroom, we have a night light that is underneath the cabinet. This is ADA accessible on the sink, and then the toilet raises and lowers. So you can actually ride that toilet to get you to the proper height. This is, again, one of my favorite rooms. This is by Dash Design out of Manhattan. And his partner actually did the wall covering. He's from South America, somewhere in South America. And it's custom designed out of one of the first transgender models. And he painted that and did the wall covering and sent it to me. And it's absolutely gorgeous. And then this was all painted and whopper jawed, the fireplace, and we recovered that and put it all back together. And then the brick was starting to peel, and we just started to take it the whole rest of the way. What we don't want to do is we don't want to say, hey, you're elderly and you can't do things. We want to have everything that we can do to help people to age in place properly. And we want to get rid of kind of these verbiages of old, fragile, victim, unhealthy, forgetful. I bet if I asked you all, 2 weeks ago to write down what you did in 15-minute increments, you'd have a hard time. Or if I asked you to write with your non-dominant hand, you'd have a hard time. Yet a lot of times when we deal with people as they age, we don't give them the same grace that we give ourselves on our own memory. So what we're trying to do is create a place where fear goes to die. And if you want any more information, of course, we're going to be here to answer questions, but this is kind of how you contact us, or you can email Adelina at director@infiniteliving.org. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Lisa. Oh, I guess I should, yeah, there we go. Yes, I found that extremely informative and interesting. A lot of food for thought. We'd ask people to put questions in the chat. I don't see anything, but are there some? Yes, I see Lynn, Kim. Let's do that order, and then we'll take it from there. Lynn, and then Kim.
Thank you. Actually, I was just applauding, but thank you very much, Lisa, for doing this. So no, I don't have a question at this time. Thank you, Julia Lynn.
Okay, then Kim.
Hi. So I was reading a study that said when you have people around you that are, afflicted with Alzheimer's or dementia, that it's easier for them to relate to past experiences. So when you try to correct them, that's very frustrating for them. So that you should try to kind of go along and ask them questions about that time period, and they'll relax and become less agitated. Do you know if this is true?
Yeah, Kim, it is. And now, to be clear, dementia is kind of the umbrella term, and then there's Lewy body, there's Alzheimer's, there's all kinds of, stroke-related dementias. But in general, your short-term memory goes, which can make you very paranoid. Your long-term memories are easier to access for most people. What I always say, and kind of the tactic that we would use with my grandmother, and I've designed probably more memory cares in the world than most people, is that I actually did a whole speech about it called "If You Love Me, Lie to Me."
Right.
It's those kind of little white lies, like, don't argue with me. Don't tell me that my husband's dead again every day. You know,
Well,
don't.
I have found that I have a lot of relatives in their 80s and even 90s,
Mhm.
and trying to spend the night with them in the same house is taxing, let us say. Especially
it is.
it's sundowning.
Oh
as
yeah,
associated
sundowning
with-
is very difficult. That's a great thing to bring up. So sundowning is very difficult. For those of you that don't know, there's a time around 3 to 5 o'clock, depending on who the person is, and really they just get really agitated. And so a way to help sundowning is get them to natural sunlight every day. That helps a great deal, even if you can get one of those sad lights, or set them in front of the window, but also do positive distraction. So positive distraction, like we had a robotic cat that my grandmother would use. And I had brought that home. That was one of the experiments. And I thought, oh gosh, she's going to think I'm nuts, or it's belittling or something like that. She absolutely loved it, and it helped her. You've got to find what works for that person. And the other thing is, what works today or this hour might not work tomorrow or the next hour.
Yeah.
So you really have to be flexible. And then the repetitive things they say, think about it like a chorus in a song. When you're singing a song and that chorus comes in, which my grandma sat on the porch and every single 30 seconds she would say, Lisa, you really need to call the city and have that branch cut down. We would just say that's the chorus, and we might even like remind ourselves that's her chorus, and it took that bite out of it, you know, like, no grandma, I told you I can't do anything about it, or I called yesterday, or I'm just so irritated, why does she keep on saying that? You've got to kind of figure out how you can have coping strategies, not just them, to be able to deal with it.
Lisa, while you have the floor, you wanted to ask a question. Or was that someone
Oh,
else?
I'm a different Lisa, if it's okay.
Okay, different Lisa. All right, go ahead.
Hopefully you can hear me.
Yes.
Thank you for extending this invitation. I think Brian invited the Near East Side. I live in Woodland Park on Woodland Avenue, towards the other end near the what we call the horse property, where the soccer field is. Anyhow, I just had a couple of questions. I have more than a couple, but hopefully we can talk after. First, I was wondering, we did see the Airbnb advertisement. How does that tie into your senior care? Is it a short-term senior care, or is this a way to supplement the income? Or
yeah, so perfect question. So I'm going to go through the original, bought the house to do exactly what I'm doing. So the house mission has never changed, and I'll go through that. But originally, I was going to put my office, Mosaic Design Studio, that was downtown, onto the carriage house. And so we got plans, had beautiful plans, met with the neighborhood associations, got all the approvals, blah, blah, blah. And then the bids came in really, 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 really high, like over $1 million for 2,500 square feet. So, and then COVID hit. So I scrapped that, and we ended up moving into Park Towers on the first floor. So just to get that out of the way, because I know somebody will probably ask that question. So that never, the house never changed, that changed. The house was always intended for our family to live there, but also to allow, which I wasn't able to do because my grandma had Alzheimer's, to bring people through and show them what we were doing in Bexley. I had a lot of friends that I could bring through, but I couldn't. The other thing that I realized was that I sat on a lot of nonprofit boards, and I still do. And the one thing that irritated the heck out of me was they would get people to donate, and the year later we would have to go back and beg to keep the mission going. And I'm like, I can't do this. It has to be self-sustainable. It has to at least have enough income to be able to support the mission that we're doing. And the third factor was, you try to explain to somebody how absolutely life-changing squirting water up your rear end in a bidet toilet seat is, and how it makes you independent and creates dignification. And you just get crazy looks. You can't explain it to anyone. But everybody that came through my house would go up to my bathroom and use my toilet. And then they tell other people about it. And then sometimes my neighbors would knock on the door and say, can we just see your toilet? And I'm like, no, you can't see my toilet. So when my grandma moved in with us and my mom and dad, that was the first thing I did. I said, we're putting 5 toilets in because one, I'm not wiping her rear end. My husband is more of a caregiver, my mother, my daughter, but I'm not that person. I'm a designer and I do it through that. But two, I think it's embarrassing for that person as well. I don't think it's just about the caregiver. I think it's very embarrassing for the person that they're having to be cared for in that way, in an intimate, vulnerable setting. So when I did the house, I'm like, you can't explain to it. You can't try it out at Home Depot or Lowe's. It's, for a lot of people, $500 is a pretty big expense, but I could do it Airbnb, and a senior couple could come and stay for the weekend and try out everything and see if they like it or not, or see if it bugs them, or, and see if they want to renovate their home or they'd rather go into senior living. So it really became a mindset for me of how do I open it up with maintaining some boundaries, and also not having to go back to all my collaborators and vendors and say, hey, you guys got to pony up this year again. We've always, I look at it a little bit like my grandma. I would go over for Sunday dinner, big Italian family, and I'd have, there'd be 45 people there every Sunday. And I thought they were all relatives. And what I didn't know was half of them were boarders that had lived at her house throughout the years. And I think there's something about connection and family. And I think Airbnb does that. When I travel, I try to stay in it all the time. But that really is, how do you try out a toilet seat? How do you do those kinds of things? How do you make, somebody be able to have some of the best experiences that my family has had, my mom and dad and kids, in an Airbnb together for a little tiny weekend. So, yeah.
Just to make sure I'm understanding, in summary, it's your home that you've made almost like a showroom or a display or example of possibility. In order for people to experience it, it's also an Airbnb for the elderly. Does that mean?
Well, no, it's anybody can Airbnb it. Anyway, because I believe in multi-generational. I believe that everybody helps everybody in passive education.
So it's not a long-term living facility of any type, or?
Oh God, no. Never has been. Absolutely never has. Matter of fact, somebody thought it was because my husband parked his van. He owns a senior living. It's a memory care home. So he parked his bus there a couple times. Somebody called the city and they pulled my permit for 2.5 months, and I had to prove it to them. It's interesting. It's never been a senior living. No, I think it's a hard message though, to wrap your head around, because like, it's our house, but I'm not taking care of seniors, but it is an Airbnb, but I'm also like doing a documentary so that I can help more people and writing about it. So it's kind of weird.
Lisa, I think we have become quite familiar with the term hybrid, and you've given an excellent example of how you've done this multi-generational living prototype. So I want to thank you on behalf of the FPCA for coming out, sharing this. All the information is available. People can follow up individually with other questions. Definitely will check out your books, the other material, find out more about you online. And then, we like walkthroughs. So we may contact you for a group walkthrough.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
we're real big on walkthroughs. So,
right.
Yeah.
You can. We are doing tours where a part of our mission is to make it available. So even if people can't maybe necessarily afford to, spend the night here, we're going to do something similar to how, like, the museum is like free on, once a month or whatever. So we'll do like maybe $5 tours or something like that once a month so that other people can come, and I'll explain it to you. I'm probably going to talk way too much because I typically do, just to let you know. But yeah, so you can definitely contact me, which they put my contact there, and we can send over information as well about that.
Great. So we will definitely follow up with that.
This is about education. Thank you so much. And thank you for our opportunity. All right. Bye, everyone.
Look forward to seeing you. Yes. All right. Okay. So as I said, we've got a full agenda, we have another discussion on houses, and this is with Angela O'Dill, slightly different because she wants us now to look at our own homes. And again, I've got to do my split vision thing here. But Angela is the manager of local history and genealogy at the Columbus Metropolitan Library. She was formerly with the Ohio History Connection. She has been co-founder of a number of different things. What am I doing? She's been a board member of Ohio Humanities, has held positions at Ohio University, and other positions at the Columbus Public Library. And I have to say, most recently, was it last year? Yes, she was a recipient of the Ed Lentz 2021 Oral History Prize from the Columbus Landmarks Foundation. And what she did was develop My History, an online tool that archives the history of Central Ohio. So now over to you, Angela.
Thank you so much, Julia Lynn. I appreciate that intro, and thank you all for having me here tonight. I'm going to share my screen real quick. I'm going to tell you I'm also working off dual screens, so if I look the other way, I apologize. I'm just working on this Zoom stuff that we're still figuring out 2 years into a global pandemic, right? All right, can you see my screen, everyone?
Yes.
Give me a nod.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
Okay, so I am going to talk to you all tonight, just a short 10 or 15 minutes or so, about how you can research your own house at the Columbus Metropolitan Library and some ways that we can help you. So house histories are one of our specialties at the library, and so I'm going to just give an example, give you some ideas, and give you kind of the short version of what is a lot of research. So let me get my screen going here. All right, so we have on our website a house history tutorial that goes into all the details that you could possibly ever want to know about how to do property research. As I said, I'm going to give you the short version. But basically that house history goes through 4 questions. How old is my house? Who lived in my house? Where can I find the photograph? And if there is one, and where can I find other records? So that's going to go through all that. I'm going to give you the highlights here today. We also have done a recorded program that's about 2 hours long on property research. And so that's on our Crowdcast site at crowdcast.io. And if you do /Columbus Library, you'll see all of our programs on there. We do a weekly history or genealogy program every Thursday at 6:30. We started that right after the pandemic started in March of 2020 and have carried on with that as well. And so every now and then we usually rotate between a history and a genealogy program. We're going to tonight use this property which is the St. Paul AME Church Annex. This is a property on Long Street, 628 Long Street. I drive up and down Long Street, it seems like, all day long. So I've always looked at this and thought, you know, you can see there's kind of a vacant lot on either side. This is right by the Long Street Bridge. So that made me wonder what this looked like before the highway cut through the neighborhood there and how this had changed over the years. So I've been curious about it. So I thought I'd use it as our example for tonight. So the first place to start, if you're wondering what the history of a property is, whether it's a house or a building like this, is the Franklin County Auditor site. And you can just Google Franklin County Auditor and you'll find the website there. You can do an address search, which is really easy, or you can do a property owner search, either one. Once you do that, you're going to want to go along the left side of the screen to where it says transfers. And if you click on transfers, you're going to get the most recent, probably 3 or 4 transfers, maybe if in the last 10 or 15 years or so. But below that, there's a little link that says historical transfer sheets. And that's the gold mine that you're looking for to tell you more history about your home. So these historical transfer sheets are what was kept before the electronic system that the auditor uses today. So they look like this, what you're seeing here. They all go back, if the property was built before 1920, the earliest you're going to see is April 1920. So don't think that means that your house was necessarily built at that time. It probably was built earlier. If you see April 1920, if the first thing on your sheet is later than that, that probably means that's when that home was built. So this is our 628 East Long Street. You can see it has April 1920. So that's telling us that it's older than that. This is just where the sheet started. You're also going to want to look for the addition. It says description of premises, comma, addition. This is East Park Place. So that's going to give you a clue to go to the Franklin County Recorder's Office later, where you're going to be able to find the deeds and maybe even some plat maps if you get lucky for that addition. And then that lot number on there, lot 137, is what you'll look for again at the Recorder's Office. So you're going to want to remember those things. What this does tell us, though, starting in 1920, that this house was owned by the Miller family. In 1920, it was sold to Clara Pirung, sold a few more times. Estes Ernest is someone we're going to hear about later. And then there in 1940, it says Sawyer, Flora G. That's actually Swayer, and I'll tell you how I know that as well. And then it's listed as Columbus Home Laundry Company before being sold to St. Paul's AME Church. So lots of history there and lots of clues on how we can find out more about this. So let's explore some of that. So thinking again about how old. So we know that the transfer sheet started in April 1920, which means this property is most likely older than that. So how do we prove that to be true? There are a couple different ways. You can go, like I said, to the Franklin County Recorder's Office. What we found there, the image on your left side, is actually a deed from 1916. So we know it's at least as old as 1916, right? We also find it listed on the Sanborn maps. So these are digitized in our My History database, or they're available at Main Library. For this kind of research, I kind of find them easier to navigate in person than I do online, but whichever you prefer. And then, so we know we're around 1916. So we're older than 1920 here. So then we can go to the Columbus City Directories, which list, usually it's at the beginning, but every now and then it's at the back. They'll do the homes by street first and then by house number. So we can see this is the Long Street listing in the 1911 Columbus City Directory that shows 628 Long Street, owned by W.M. Smith as Smith Medicine Company. So there we've got it back to 1911. That's the oldest I could find for this building. If we wanted to go earlier, we would just keep working that city directory process back, if we could go earlier, to see how far back we could go as well. If we do get back far enough to 1900, there's another set of based maps that we can use. And then even further back, 1890 is a really solid set of maps by base as well. So just keep working that process to see how far back we can go. But this one looks like 1911 is likely when it was built. So what else can we find? Well, let's see if we can find some photos, because that's always something people want to see about their home, right? So we're going to go to our My History database. This is www.columbuslibrary.org/myhistory. You can just do a search across the whole collection. There's 1.5 million images in here, so there's a lot. It's that covers all of Central Ohio, but it's still a lot. So you can limit by images. If you're looking for photographs, that'll save you from having to go through a lot of the newspapers and books and things that are in there. So just put your term in there and do a search. We, though, are looking for a photo. So we're going to be even a little more specific than that. And we're going to go into the advanced search and limit by collections. One of the collections that's really great for house histories is our Mls Cards, multiple listing service. This is a collection loaned to us by Carriage Trade Realty of the cards for when a home was sold. These run from about this early 60s to the early 80s, and then they start to be in books, and we've digitized a lot of those too. So they're a great resource to give you a lot of information about your home. So went ahead and ran that search. You want to actually search on the street, not the number, because we've digitized these by street. So you may find that your exact house number isn't there, but you might get one close to it. So this is the 628 Long Street, and you'll see in this case that it's actually 626 and 628 Long Street, because 626 is a little building that was attached to it. So you've got both of these addresses in there. And even, I think even as interesting as well, if you look off to the left side there, you're seeing a part of the neighborhood that right now is, that's all just a parking lot. And you can see there's some houses going off to the left there. So if you were looking for those houses or that lot to see what was there, that can give you some information as well. Taking a look at this photograph, you can see that it's listed as Columbus Home Laundry. It's got the sign at the top, which isn't there anymore, and this row of windows that's sort of where the awning was in that original image. But other than that, the building has pretty much stayed the same. So that's kind of cool to know. The back of this card gives you the information collected at the time of that sale. So usually this is a commercial building, but for a home, it'll tell you things like what kind of electric it had, if it was knob and tube or more modern wiring, depending on the sale. It'll tell you the color of the carpet, what the heating source was, all kinds of great information that you'll want to know if you're doing any kind of renovation or historical preservation work. So lots of good information there as well. And it says, interestingly on here, that this is a going business since 1933. Down here, you can see this was done in 1960. So it was Columbus Home Laundry, at least just in this card, we can show for about 30 years. And then we know it went past that as well. So that's good to know the history for the building. You can also, I always encourage people to really get an understanding of a home or a property, to look at the neighborhood around it, because you can learn so much from the other buildings and just the landscape. So we have a map on My History. If you were to scroll down on the web page, you'd see this map. You can do two things here. You can select a neighborhood on the drop-down menu, and you'll get everything tagged with that neighborhood. Sometimes we have images where we know it's King Lincoln, Bronzeville, for example, but we don't know the exact address. So it'll show up on the drop-down, but not on the map. But if we do have an exact address, it's going to show up as a pin. The blue spots are where there's multiple pins in a really close area. So if you zoom in, you'll see them turn into red pins as you zoom. So this is looking at roughly that area around 628 East Long. And let's see, East 628 East Long is going to be right about the corner here. So our particular building isn't there, but we've got a couple pins around it. This is one of them that kind of gives you an idea of what that streetscape would have looked like, which is very different in many ways than today. So that can, in this case, it didn't work out perfectly. This is a little further down, but you can kind of also just learn a little bit about the neighborhood at the time as well. What else can you find? We have tons of newspapers digitized right now. So the Columbus Dispatch is digitized from 1871 through 1985. You can just do an address search in there. Columbus Dispatch is free on our website with your library card. If you're at home, you just have to put your card number in. But I encourage you, just everybody do this, because you never know what you're going to find about your house, right? So I just did 628 East Long Street. And in 1900, remember our city directory only had this one back to 1911. This is 1900, showing up as 10 rooms available at 628 East Long Street. So that gives us an even further date. Remember, Eustace Estes was one of the early owners. Well, it's Estes Tire and Battery Service in 1929. And remember on that MLS card, it said that it had been a Columbus home laundry business for 30 years in 1960. So that would probably get us to right before this time period as well. We have the Ohio Sentinel digitized in my history. So that gives us a nice ad for Columbus home laundry and dry cleaners. I would, if it were me and I owned that building, I would totally hang that up somewhere because I think that's just a cool piece of history. And then this ad in the Columbus Dispatch, I really love. I know it's hard to read, but this is an article in the Dispatch from 1945, just towards the end of World War II, it's January 1945 here, when it shows a listing about furloughs. So this shows a veteran of 71 flying missions, holder of the Distinguished Flying Cross and the Air Medal with 7 oak leaf clusters, Captain C.H. Sawyer Jr. Remember, it was listed as Sawyer on the earlier one. Captain C.H. Sawyer Jr. is spending a 15-day furlough at the home of his parents, Mr. and Mrs. C.H. Sawyer. And prior to his enlistment 3 years ago, Sawyer was associated with his father, who was owner of the home laundry company, 628 East Long Street. So that's how we got to our 628 East Long Street. That's how this came up. It goes on to talk a little more about how Sawyer has asked Mayor Rose to set aside a day when Sawyer can appear before City Council for an official welcome back to Columbus. So just a really great, story about this building that, we probably wouldn't have known before. Just in the last few years, we've been able to make a lot of these sources full text searchable. So if you have done your property history many years ago, you might want to go back through it again just to see what else you can find. We're digitizing more every day too. So check back every so often as well. So I take some questions, but I just wanted to let you know how to get in touch with us at the library. My division, Local History and Genealogy, is at Main Library, and we are open back to our restored hours now. So Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Friday, Saturday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Sunday, 1 to 5. So we'd love to see you come visit us. You can also email us at history@columbuslibrary.org. We do Zoom appointments now as well. So if you're not able to make it down to the library, we're happy to set up a time, or you can just book those directly on our website too. So that's all for me. Wanted to keep it kind of short and sweet, but I'd love to take some questions.
That's fine, right. And could you, yes, stop screen sharing. That's the term I was looking for. All right. Questions or comments for Angela? Okay, there was there's some follow-up information in the chat. I'm sure they'll be taken out and made part of our minutes or made visible for folks. So you have some follow-up information in terms of resources that are complementary to the discussion tonight. Will?
Yes, Angela, excellent presentation.
Thank
Great
you.
info. Can you provide us a copy of your slides so we can put them on our social media site, our website, and so forth?
Sure, I'm happy to do that.
Thank you.
I have Julia's email. I can send it
Sure.
to you, Julia. Will that work? And you can forward it on to Will?
Yes,
Sure.
that'd be great.
And I'm going to do the same thing and say we need a tour, because I think that we could put this out as part of our discussion. We can have people start, because I know that a lot of this is online, so we can tell people, look, start, and then we can have some individual questions. But I also think if we were like all down there and we could see some of the stuff and see some of the other resources, that might be fun too. So we may contact you for a late summer activity, where where we see who's interested in actually researching the history of their own home. You know, I think it would be very nice if we could do something to show the stories behind so many of these homes that we live in. So yeah.
That'd be
All
great.
right.
We'd love to host that for sure.
I did want to say that, Angela, I'll definitely be contacting you. I did, you know, when I was in high school, I did an internship at Ohio Historical Connection, and I'm an archaeologist, so I'm definitely very into it. I was doing a lot of the research just through strange websites, and I did go down to the library, but didn't know that this service was available, so I'm super excited about it.
Yes, and because I know when I was growing up, it was later with the Brooks home. So I think there's a lot that you can do around Judge and Mary Brooks.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. That's a significant, and we even have pictures. We have 100 years worth of pictures of all the people that have lived in the house. So including the Brooks as well, which is awesome. Right. Yeah.
Okay. Any
Real
other
quickly,
comments,
Angela,
questions? How
can you make a Zoom appointment? You mentioned.
Oh, you can make a Zoom appointment. Go to columbuslibrary.org, click on local history and genealogy, and right at the top of the page, there's a space for appointments.
Oh, okay.
So if you can't find a time there, though, use email us at history@columbuslibrary.org, and we'll just set up whatever time works for you.
History@columbuslibrary.org?
Yeah, columbuslibrary.org. Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, we have librarians check that account every day, so we should get back to you within a day.
And Angela seems very mild-mannered, but I'm gonna tell you, she's not. Once she gets her hooks in you, she's gonna say, "Oh, but let me bring you this," or "Did you look here?" or "This we have this resource." And next thing you know, you've gone down the rabbit hole. Thanks so much, Angela. No, that was really very good. Once again, very complimentary to our first one. Okay, good.
Thank you.
So we are going to move now to our regular business meeting. And I think basically we have a series of announcements. We have a treasury report from Brian, from Nick via Brian. How's that?
Yes, I am Nick tonight because Nick is out of town for work. So since our last meeting, we had a whole bunch of, well, not a whole bunch, a handful of new memberships and more memberships just in second, and our monthly Zoom subscription. So our balance is, as of Thursday, the 17th, St. Patrick's Day, $6,404.37. And then we're going to talk about elections in just a moment, but I want to emphasize next Thursday is the last day to pay dues in order to make a nomination, to be a candidate, or to vote in next month's elections. So yes, that's how you be voting in 2022. And that's also, I think, that's the EMR report too.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for the treasurer in absentia? Tamika, activities.
Yeah, so we will be starting back our first Saturday's walk club again. So we'll be starting that the first Saturday of April, and we'll be meeting at 10 a.m. again at the same location near the Horseshoe. Also, I know we're starting back our third Thursdays, and this month it's fourth Thursdays. Kirsty, I don't know if you're on, if you want to talk about that.
She was. Yeah, she still is.
Yeah, I can take it.
Okay.
So it'll be 6 p.m. at Adela's. Really informal, just show up, grab a bite to eat, grab a drink if you'd like, meet your neighbors, hang out, real informal. There is an opportunity this time. If anyone is interested, they can stay past 8 p.m. and there is a show that Harmonic Soul will be playing at Adela's. If you're already in the door, they're not going to charge you. So a little perk there. If you go to the happy hour and then want to listen to some great music, all that will be part of it.
Yes, so please.
And we see that Thursday is also ladies' night.
It is ladies' night. That's true.
Okay,
Jay?
Yeah, and
real-
go ahead.
I'm sorry, I just wanted to piggyback on Jay. If anybody wants to know what kind of music is being played, I think Adela's is it on their Instagram page or Facebook page? They have some clips of the band playing and they are very impressive.
Okay, thank you. Tamika.
Yeah, in addition to that, we are encouraging people to get active on Earth Day coming up. We'll be able to share more about that through our email, but we're encouraging you to get involved in volunteering from one of our neighborhood community gardens or volunteering with the Box Park with Maroon Arts. So yeah, we want to see you come out and help out one of these organizations in our neighborhood. That's all I have.
And I think Richard and Joyce are on. Are you doing an Earth Day activity?
Yes, we are. Still
Okay.
in early planning stages due to technical difficulties. However, we are looking at the Saturday, the 23rd, when we'll be getting some supplies in from Scott's Miracle Grow. So we'll be unloading mulch and soil and that kind of thing and doing a garden cleanup. But our real focus is kind of post Earth Day. Earth Day weather has been kind of shaky, rain and kind of cold. And I think for us, May 7th is a better day. We hope for a little bit more warmth and a little bit more sunshine, but we'll be sharing that information as we get things finalized. But you can put a tentative star on May 7th. I think we said 10 to 2.
10 to 2, yes.
And then April 23rd, depending on when we have the deliveries come in. It's probably going to be in that same time frame, 10 to 2, something like that, but we'll let you know.
And the all the community gardens will be meeting this Sunday.
Sunday, yes, trying to finalize.
Yeah, everything and get it all straight. So we'll get a list out to you afterwards as to who's doing what time, and where. Okay? Anything else,
Yeah.
Tamika, other than gardens?
Julie
Yes.
Lynn, Alpha's house said yes. I'll talk to you later.
Okay, good. Sunday, we'll put that in. All right.
Okay.
Tamika, anything else?
Yeah, I don't know. Is there anything you have to share about Domingo?
Yes. We're going to do it later.
Okay.
Okay.
That's it for
All
me.
right. So then, all right. Nothing else? All right. Thank you. No report from public and member relations. Kim, health and wellness.
Okay, Gary Berry and I will be meeting to formulate block watch groups. And I also want to encourage people to walk in pairs as it gets warmer. It's kind of a big deal. There's been a lot going on. I personally experienced several break-ins in both of my properties. So everybody be careful, put on locks, and button the hatches.
Okay. Thank you. William Woods, would you please mute yourself? All right. Any questions for Kim? All right. Thank you very much. We're going to go to elections with Jay.
So elections are coming up at the April meeting. As Brian already alluded to, you need to have paid your dues by the end of the month, so the 31st, in order to be eligible to run and vote. As a reminder, the positions that we are looking for nominations for and that we are looking to fill is going to be president, treasurer, and 2 trustee positions. So I would like to open it up to any nominations.
Hi, this is Gary Berry. I wanted to know if we send a nomination directly to fpcivic@gmail.com, is that adequate, or do I need to do another formal right now?
Nope. I mean, that'll work unless you wanted to do one, but sending it to the email is perfectly acceptable.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, I believe you have different options, or anybody has different options. You can send it to the FPCA email. You can mail it to our post office box. You can give it to a member of the elections committee, which is headed by Jay Bolts.
This is
If you're walking
Miriam.
down the street and you see Jay, you're like, hey, here's my nomination. Miriam.
I have a quick question. Is there a place where you can find what the descriptors for each of the positions? That way, if we have somebody in mind, we can kind of, share with them what the responsibilities would be for each of those positions. And if there are, where can we find those?
Our
Or to share
bylaws
it?
on our website.
Okay.
Good
And Miriam, if you have any further questions, feel free just to reach out. I'll walk you through stuff.
Okay. Kim. Kim? Okay.
Yes, Julian.
I didn't know if you had a question or you're just.
No, I didn't. I'm sorry.
Mute yourself, please. Yeah, that's why I was hearing the, okay. All right, any other questions for Jay and his committee? Well, thank you very much for being diligent and calling in. Sorry, my calling in from St. Louis. Hold on just a second, please. Oh, these cords ripping and running. I've forgotten I was getting ready to pass out here. Okay, woo, night and day. Look at that. All right. Okay, old business. Will and Roy, the FPCA nonprofit status.
We are, as the boys to men would say, coming to the end of our road on this project. We have had great discussion and input from a variety of people, and we're putting the finishing touches on the attachments because this is a application that goes to the IRS and has to be submitted online with signatures with all the attachments. So we anticipate having that completed by Friday morning. And at that time, Brian, our treasury will be $600 lighter because you have to pay before you can actually submit a application. I have been advised that once you submit that application, IRS will get back with you for questions of clarification if they have any. And the worst case scenario, which we do not anticipate, they will just out and out reject. So there may be a little bit of back and forth in terms of clarification, additional information requested, but we think we're going to be in good shape. And given how quickly tax returns are coming back, they should be moving pretty quickly. So we are looking forward to getting a positive determination this quarter.
Any questions for Will and Roy? Okay, very good. Moving right along. The Mingle. We met with as the executive committee and discussed various options as we had come out of the discussion in January with the consensus to move the Mingle to the spring. And we know that the more we wait, the more difficult it may become with conflicting activities, et cetera. But we've been in touch with the Franklin Park, we've been in touch with the Parks and Rec regarding, I call it the horseshoe with the building, but, and it's not available. There was discussion from the executive committee meeting that we wanted to something that was perhaps outdoors, given that people still have some COVID concerns, given there's a new variant coming back, those concerns may be well noted. And so we wanted something that was more outside than inside, and also something that was more obviously family friendly. So we contacted the conservatory and asked them about the first 2 weeks in June for the AEP house and the horseshoe area. And both dates were fine. We looked at the first Sunday, which would also be Community Day in the park. And that means everything is open. And so we thought that this might therefore be an appropriate way to pull our people together for a mingo. We may have 1 or 2 food trucks. I knew there was a word. But we would have the AEP pavilion to set up food inside, because of, again, where we are, some of the issues. We looked at having a boom box rather than a band, and really then encourage people to explore the park, which will be open, as per Community Day for free. So it'll be an afternoon activity on Sunday, the 12th? No, the 5th. Sunday the 5th. And that's actually the kickoff for National Garden Week. So we might add something in there too. But the Sunday the 5th, probably 1 to 5 for setup, the activity for 2 or 3 hours, and then the cleanup. Okay. So now, I see Kim's hand up. Anyone else? Let's kick off with Kim.
Julie Lynn, do we have a membership section for people on the Near East Side that like to participate in our meetings and events? I mean, because we're getting people from all over the neighborhood. So should we give them an advantage with some type of membership?
I'm not understanding. We have a membership list, and I suppose we could go through it and figure out from addresses where people live, but I'm not understanding the question, the essence of the question.
So do we take, are our current members only Franklin Park members, or do we accept membership from the Near East Side out,
It should, our membership should be people who live or work in Franklin Park. You should live or have a business in Franklin Park within our boundaries, which, I was recently corrected on. So as live or work, and then we gave out complimentary memberships to our speakers over the last year, just as a way to involve the continued long-term relationships. But our members are to be people who live and or have a business within the boundaries of Franklin Park.
Well, I guess I was just wondering if we could include people in the Near East area that would be non-voting members for less.
Okay,
I don't know.
what
I guess
would be
that's
the
the
purpose?
membership
Why would we
question.
do this?
Well, just to pull community together. I mean, they wouldn't be voting on anything inside the FPCA, but they would attend functions and make the Near East Side stronger. That would be the purpose.
Okay, that's a broader discussion that I think that we should actually take up at another time when we've had some, give some consideration to it. I don't know that we should make a decision on that now, but if people think otherwise, Will?
For clarification, because it took me a while to wrap my head around this with Nick. On our new website, at the very bottom, which you have to scroll to, you can sign up to be on our mailing list, as we have had some people do, and you can get mailings about our minutes, about our activities, etc. If you do subscribe to social media, you can find that same kind of information on our Facebook site, I think, and sometimes our Instagram site. We do not have any activities that I recall, and this came up last time we did the Mingle, that are limited to Franklin Park members, okay? But running for office is definitely limited to residents of the Franklin Park area. Does that help clarify?
Well, and not only that, we just went through a revision process for our bylaws, and that would definitely be a bylaw revision. Okay, but so that's something we can put on the table to think about. Okay. Other questions with respect to the mingle? Because it's going to be very important now that we begin to have committees to step forward and take responsibility for implementation.
I was just going to mention that, Miss Julia Lynn, that we probably should start developing those committees since we've planned for this before. And I don't know if you saw that Eric typed in the chat that he said that Niacc has people that they would be willing to volunteer. And I think we should definitely have a collaboration with Niacc just for the fact that we will definitely need some volunteers based on past events.
Right. Very good. Thank you, JD.
Julia Lynn, I just have a quick question.
Yes.
It seems that since it's Community Day, this is an opportune time for the membership committee to be really, really out pushing for new members and renewals. And I just wonder, you know, can we plan something special around that? Maybe a street challenge or something, street, you know.
Yeah, which block can come up with the most members?
Yeah, something like that. I know when years ago, when we were trying to boost the Civic Association, we did that's how we got started with doing ice cream socials. And we had lots of people come out for that. And I wonder if, since the neighborhood has changed so much, it might be a great time to get a panel. I know Tamika was trying to get history of the area and past residents that we know who have moved away might be able to come back and talk about what was like in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and it might, you know, create some interest and some dialogue because the area is changing.
Great.
They might be excited to see the changes if they haven't been back here lately, and the new residents might like to meet the old residents. Might be interesting, and a way to.
Okay, you're on the committee, Joyce. That's all.
No. My committee list is already full.
Okay, thank you. No, good ideas. Other suggestions? Concerns? Okay, so no opposition means that we are pulling behind this. Is this Kate with a hand up?
Just before you I'm not sure what the agenda is if you're breaking. I just want to announce the egg hunt.
Oh no, I got you. Don't worry. So it's really, really important. We got 20 people on the call. It's really important that everybody, at least on this call, figure out a way to play a role in pulling off the mingle. It's really just going to be crucial. Okay. I'm not sure if Miriam was stepping forward with her vast past experience, or Tamika or Kirsten, as activities, we'll work it out. But we need a chair, and we need to figure out the subcommittees, and we need some chairs of the subcommittees, and we need for them to reach out. One of the best ways to get people involved is to give them responsibility. So let's figure out, and move forward with that. Okay. So now we have Near East Area Commission updates, and we have Roy and Eric and Kate. Wow.
We're very well represented here.
And Gary.
And Gary is still on. Yes. Okay.
Hello.
Okay, great. Wow. All right. So Roy usually gives us our standard report, but let's start.
Last month, I reported on elections, and so we have our whole new leadership team in place. And at the last general meeting, we also amended the bylaws fairly significantly. And one of the things that we did there was to, we made the Community Engagement Committee a standing committee. And I think that initiative of the Near East Area Commission may be the most significant thing that we will have done in the first part of the year, because under Kate's leadership, we are clearly trying to expand the role of the commission in terms of connecting with the neighbors, with community groups. I mean, there have always been these connections, but we're trying to arrange activities and to expand all the ways in which the community can kind of tie into the commission.
Right.
And I would say we had a number of zoning matters come up that they're at the current time. I always report on that, you know, if there are any like controversial zonings in the Franklin Park area. Right now, there's nothing that I would put in the category of being controversial that we have in this area. So that's just a very quick overview. I mean, obviously we have other members of the commission. Perhaps Kate wants to talk a little bit about kind of directions that we are trying to go in. I don't know if you want to talk about that, Kate.
Yeah, let's definitely. So I will introduce Kate Curry D'Souza as the new Niacc Chair, having served previously as a commissioner. And over to you.
Good evening, everybody. As you know, I'm Kate. I'm sure that we have very likely met many times before, but I'm super glad to be here tonight. We are really working very hard to try to make the commission in service to our neighborhoods, because we recognize that as representatives of the constituents who live here, that we need to be really listening and be attainable. So you are likely going to see much more involvement, because that's what we're working on as a commission. So participating in meetings. I've seen that Commissioner Hutchinson has already suggested that the Community Engagement Committee for the Near East Area Commission would like to be engaged in things like your mingle. If you need support and volunteers, we have a listserv. We have people who are engaged and interested in helping build up your neighborhood events. That's a big part of it. So I encourage you to come. We are making some bylaw changes to try to make the commission much more accessible. And in looking at making the committees slightly reorganized with another standing committee, is that we're really going to depend on Franklin Park and District 4, which you are in, to be able to, hold on guys, you can see I'm momming at the same time, to be able to have community representation. So you should see in this next month, if we go ahead with the bylaw changes that we've already been considering, that if we have planning, zoning, and community engagement, all three of those committees are going to need representatives from District 4. And we don't have that. And so that means that you have an opportunity as a community member to join the committee, to vote when the committee votes. Now, you're not voting at the main meetings, but you're voting in the committee level. And at the committee level, I think that there's a lot of opportunity to really dig in. I'm trying to send a lot of the conversations that neighborhood organizations and people in the political arena, I'm trying to send these to committee level. So you actually have an opportunity to really dig into zoning questions. So you can really dig into planning, right? If we're looking at a Black-owned bank here in Bronzeville, then I want folks in the planning committee to be able to talk about what that looks like, what's that gonna do for our neighborhood. If we're having large development coming up, I want that to go to the planning committee and have community members be able to be there to be able to discuss this as a group and really dig into it. And so we're going to need representation from District 4. And so I'm challenging you to help rise to that and be present in this, so we can help be more representative of the areas that we live in. So thank you very much for taking the time to let me bring that forward.
And your announcement?
The Near East neighbors are having the 4th annual egg hunt. It is going to be on 4/9. I got Easter wrong. So Easter's the next weekend. We always have this the weekend before Easter. So it's Saturday, 4/9 from 12 to 2 at the Elsie and Eldon Ward YMCA. That's on Woodland Avenue. There's going to be egg hunts for kids 0 to 6, 7 to 12. And then there's also a challenge course for kids with different abilities in a lower volume, lower intensity room inside the Y. We're looking for volunteers. I've put in the link if you would like to join. I call it Netflix and Stuff, eggs, that is. And we would really like to have your help. Also the day of, you know, when Ashley McCleskey came up with this, who's an Eastgate resident, came up with this quite a few years ago, we had like 60 kids the first year. In the last year that we did this before the pandemic, we had 378 kids. So I'm anticipating that we're looking for things to do that are in our neighborhoods and over here just for our kids. So I'm expecting 400 to 600 kids. I'm just going to be completely honest. So we need to come ready. So we're going to need volunteers the day of, and we're definitely going to need help with stuffing eggs. So there will be a drop-off spot for donations at the Y in case that's easier to connect. But also, if you want to pick up eggs from me and start filling them while you watch TV, I'm totally game for that too. So thank you so much.
Chair,
Okay,
hey,
and
just a quick question.
Mhm.
I
Go
was
ahead.
just going to add that we recently discussed the updates to 311 at our most recent general body meeting. So if you guys don't know, 311 now has an app, and they are launching their redesigned website April 1st. If you ever had to call or do an email to 311, it's going to be completely different now. I implore you to download for iOS or Android the 311 app for Columbus, and or visit their new website. That'll be after the 1st. That's it.
Okay, you see, I was going to formally introduce you as our newest commissioner, but there he goes, Gary Berry II. All right, and that leaves Eric Hutchinson. Did you want to add anything?
Well, yeah, everyone did great, but I'll just add, you know, one of our goals is transparency, representation and transparency on the commission. And to that end, we talked a little bit about the cleaning up the website last time. And this time I just want to mention that we're endeavoring to have our agendas and meeting notes, meeting minutes on the website. We might communicate them in other ways, but at the moment on the website generally, in a timely fashion. The agenda certainly well before the meetings. The minutes, I do have to clarify, the minutes do have to be approved in the next general body meeting. So they'll be posted after that. But we are endeavoring to be transparent and therefore to get the agendas and meeting minutes posted in a timely fashion.
If I understand correctly, you're actually the secretary.
That's correct. That's
yes. Right. Okay. So we have the chair, the secretary, and the treasurer, and the newest members. Okay. So we asked for this. We asked for involvement. We asked for accountability. We asked for transparency. We got it. Now we need to use it. We need to step up and be a part of the change. What does it be? Be the change you hope to see? Okay, everything's in place now, but the only way it can function effectively is if we actually play a role and become a part of it. Okay, any other questions for any Niacc member? Okay, and okay, Lisa, you don't run away just because, you know, we had the other discussion. Don't run away now, but it's okay. Any other announcements from anyone for the good of the body?
I got one. Just a reminder, April 3rd at Adela's will be the pop-up market to benefit the plant gaze. Other vendors included will be Old Salt Leatherworks, K-Chup, the Buckeye Lady, and we actually just added Two Good Eats, who will also be at the East Market. So we'll have a lot of great vendors, a lot of great food. So make sure you guys stop in. It's from 2 to 6 on April 3rd at Adela's. Come in, get some great handmade goods, buy a plant, support all of our local businesses, and it should be a lot of fun.
Great, thank you. Anyone else?
I just have a really quick thing. I've noticed that the marketing for FPCA has greatly improved. I think it was Brian that you sent out this email. It was so clear. The information was easy to find. I appreciate there are more reminders that are showing up on our social media because in fact, it's helped me to remember things and then I've put them into my calendar. So I wonder if there's a way, you know, if there's events on Facebook and Instagram and things like that, where you can link them to your Google calendars or your, I think, Apple calendars. I don't know if that's an option that can happen too, just so that people can automatically click on that link to upload it to their actual personal calendar. But just overall, the marketing in general, I feel, has been very clear and consistent.
Yeah, I would agree in whole, but
Thank you.
I know that there were some issues tonight even with logging in. But Kirsten, were you on the same point or you had a new point?
I was clapping because I agreed.
All right, thank you. All right, so Nick is usually the, I don't want to say the esoteric one, the IT guy. So I'm sure Brian will take it up with him and look and see if they can make that hookup between, you know, clicking on something and then going to your calendar. I find that a little intrusive, actually. I don't want to, I'd rather do it myself, but hey, other people, there it is. Any other announcements?
I just put a bunch in the chat, but I want to pay my respects to the late Walter Chapelier, who's a former OTINA trustee and a member of the community who passed away earlier this month. And he was involved with OTINA, former VP of OTINA, involved block watches in Old Town and South of Maine, and he will be missed. And when we think of all the leaders like you and like me and like James and Nick and Kate and David Gray down in Old Oaks, Walter is among the great leaders in our community. And with that, he'll be missed. And also, yeah, volunteer for Easter egg hunt. And I'm so excited it's going to be back. And also, yeah. I forgot what else I was going to say. Bullet points follow-up email will be like probably early next week. But yeah, and don't forget to pay your dues, and then I'll probably have to talk about this at the future meeting because we're gonna wait what happens with the primary being postponed and all that stuff. So the June meeting could be impacted if that's what happens.
Okay, anything else? All right, well then, thank you very much. I think that we have had a very rich meeting this evening, a lot to think about, a lot to move forward on. Please, again, I reinforce other speakers in terms of participating in the elections, supporting Niacc and being involved, and the Mingo. We are going to have a very special, unique, wonderful extravaganza of a Mingo this year. If it's only me and 2 tomatoes, but no.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
Yes,
yes.
Be great.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
Only with people volunteering.
Oh
Miriam?
yeah.
No, Magnum. Who's Magnum? Magum? No.
He's not on. He helped us with the shred. He lives on Franklin Park West.
He's on.
Yeah,
He's got a hand raised.
I'm on, but
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, please. You're welcome.
Ms. Walker, I had a question to ask. I don't know if this is the right forum for that, but the question was related to sales happening in the Franklin Park area. And I noticed there was a parsonage that was available. Is this zoned historical, the Franklin Park area? I'm concerned about maybe someone putting something in there that doesn't really conform to the history that I hear you so proudly talk about. I just wanted to know if there's something in place for that. Thank you.
Yes. Okay, Kim will come on there. It is historical, but this is also why it's important for people to actually be on the zoning committee under Niacc, to be on the planning committee, because the people who come through and want to change the usage, they have to go through Niacc first. And so this is the point where you can raise questions and say, this is what Roy was saying earlier, this is where we can raise questions and say, oh, is this consistent? Is it not consistent? And it's not to block people, but how can we work with people to meet our respective aims and objectives? So we can also look at having a more focused discussion in this area a bit later. Kim. Okay, she'll get back to us. I know she did put in the.
I'm sorry. The usage is definitely going to change. The building is in serious disrepair, and I am not sure what's going to happen, but it's going to be different. And actually, I think that we need to concentrate on making sure that City Council doesn't blanket zoning throughout the entire city, because we will lose any control that we have. Our voices will be silenced at that point. So I don't know what kind of a stance anybody wants to make, but there it is.
Yeah, there's we definitely have room for some serious discussions, because I can hear 2 or 3 discussions coming off of this one point, none of which can be taken up right now, but they have been duly noted. And again, I want to emphasize the Mingo. What did I say? What's the day of the Mingo? What's the day of the Mingo?
June 5th.
At what time?
High noon.
Well, that's a setup, but we think people will be there like 2 to 5, 3 hours, something like that. But we got to have setup first. But yes, June 5th at afternoon, come out family friendly. We'll have some interesting food. We'll come up, follow up Joyce's ideas, we'll find out ways to, use this to really pull in some folk. Okay? So, may I have a motion to adjourn? We will meet next April 26th. Please, the election and the mingle. Oh, well, okay. All right, let me stop. Very quickly, should we go back to in-person? Boy, you should see your faces.
Either or. I mean, Woodland is resuming in-person meetings next month. Your buddy, Mr. Willis Brown's been having meetings in person all this time. I'm open to either one. Either way.
All right, let me do it another way. Is there anyone who is firmly against meeting in person?
No.
No.
This is Gary. I would like the option for hybrid. We have a lot of different, not competing meetings. We have a lot of meetings with Niacc as it's spinning up. And so I love the option for a hybrid model. Is that on the table, or is it on or off?
Sure.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, let's have some discussion, and then April probably will be in person. I don't see strong opposition to that. And then if anything, it would be hybrid.
Like the November meeting.
Okay.
We'll
think about that and figure it out. But it was good that you raised the question. Will?
One advantage of the hybrid meeting is that our Zoom meetings are recorded and they're posted on our YouTube channel. So anybody who was not able to attend the meeting or stay for the whole meeting can catch up on YouTube.
Adelina?
I was just wondering, how do I get onto the email list? Or if I've signed up to be a member and everything, but how do I get onto the email list for just?
You're on it.
Okay. Oh, great. Then we did it. Thank you.
You're on it. We might even rope Lisa in, although we'll see. Friend of the family. Okay. Thank you very much for attending tonight and the lively conversation, questions. As always, feel free to call, text, email me in the interim regarding anything, and we'll see what we can do. And yes, go back to Kim. Be safe. That's the main thing. There are some things changing in the neighborhood, in the community, and let's just be aware and be safe. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second? All in favor?
I think that was affirmed. It looks like our screen has frozen about half the. Roy, are you frozen? You look kind of, you and Julia Lynn look on my screen. So I think the meeting is adjourned. Thank you all so much for coming, and I'm going to end it on the recording end now. Enjoy your evening.